It's time. Right, cat? Right? I'm ready to go. I got a great night's sleep. Coffee's ready. I'm on time. This bodes well for Monday. I think we're gonna have a good day. Don't you, cat? 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Monday, September 30th, 2019. My name's Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Here we are, the last day of September. It is nearly October. Tomorrow's October. I used the heat once, which is a big deal for those of you not in the Northeast. Lasting through September without heat. Morning, Frank. Kind of a big deal. We try to go to October. I did it once. It was my toes were numb. Floor was really cold, so don't have to worry about that anymore now. Because I can use the heat in good conscience. Conscience. There we go. I don't know about you, but I had a great weekend. We had team tryouts for Whistlekick's 2020 competition team. Wonderful performances from everyone. And we'll be making our decisions this week, sending out invitations. I had some new people try out, people I was unfamiliar with, which was great. It's nice to see the team growing. It's nice to see everyone that's been on the team getting along. It's a good group. You know, I knew from day one that I didn't just want a team that people said, oh, these people do great in the ring. They're wonderful competitors, or they're skilled at something. I wanted people to say, hey, not only are they good competitors, but they're good martial artists. And the families, the people that come with them, they're good people too. This is important because it's Whistlekick, right? The logo's on every one of them, and so I think we've done a good job of that. What else? Saw the new Rambo yesterday. One of the most violent movies I've ever seen, and I judge that by how much I had to avert my eyes because I don't do violent, gory stuff. Wow. I think I liked it. I'm still digesting. For the most part, I liked it. There were some really cool parts, and of course, watching Stallone do his thing. He's always great. But I didn't think it needed to be that violent. I think that's the bottom line. What else? What else did I do this weekend? Did a bunch of cleaning and work around the house. Processed some more of the harvest. And got ready for this week. You know, nothing too big, nothing too dramatic, but it was a good weekend. Went to bed early last night, slept amazingly. Feel awesome. Ready for life, ready for the week, ready for my day. Let's see what we got going on for questions. We got some questions in here. If you want to ask a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. It has been said, quote, the word anger is one letter away from the word danger. Do you think this is true? It can be. Of course, literally it is. But I think a lot of bad things could happen. It do happen. Oh, shoot. When people get angry, whether we're talking about training or on the street or in personal lives. I think we've all said things in anger that we regretted, and I think that's a perfect indicator of how powerful anger can be. I rarely get angry anymore because the people in the situations that make me angry, I've either grown enough to not let them bother me, or I avoid those people in those situations. I don't like feeling angry. I feel out of control. I feel I feel like I might do something, well, dangerous. It doesn't have to be physical to be dangerous. And I don't enjoy that. So I think the obvious question is how do you handle anger? Uh, and I'm lucky in that I don't think I have a big temper. I'm not an angry person. I've never really been that way. So I don't know that I have good answers for that. You've got the obvious things like therapy, exercise, meditation. Those are all pretty powerful in that way. Anger management classes. I think that's as far as I can recommend that one. It's been said people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and your experiences is true. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Whistlekick and martial arts radio are a perfect example. Oh, by the way, new episode of martial arts radio with Mr. James Wilkes. If you don't know that name, he won one of the early years of The Ultimate Fighter, and now he's the one leading this new um, vegan athlete documentary. So as part of his promotion, I believe they reached out to us to have him on. Um, he does have a traditional martial arts background, which is why we brought him on. Of course, people know him from MMA, but he had an interesting message, and you can check out here on YouTube, or you can find it at whistlekickmartialartsradio.com or in your podcast feed. So with martial arts radio, in the early days, people didn't email me. People didn't want my advice. People, when I saw them at events, treated me as just another person. But now it's really interesting. It's very different. People treat me differently. Sure, we have more people listening and watching the shows, but even percentage wise, it seems like I get more feedback. More people want to know what I think. When I go to events, people treat me differently than they used to. And I think some of that is due to Whistlekick's growth, maybe even most of it. But I think on some level, whether this is what's fueled Whistlekick's growth, or maybe we can connect those dots otherwise, people recognize that I do care, that I'm not. There are a number of different ways that you can run a business. I believe strongly in doing things that make an impact and creating opportunities for money to follow those, as opposed to the other way, make money and then sometimes people will give back. I don't think that way is as sustainable. I don't think it's as enjoyable. And I don't think it leads to really amazing opportunities like some of the ones that we've had, like the fact that we have people volunteering to assist with social media and things like that. We actually have people who have said that martial arts radio and other things from Whistlekick have changed their lives so much that they want to contribute back, that they want to volunteer some of their time. And it's pretty amazing. I don't know how many people are lighting up outside of Nike to say, I want to volunteer here. Maybe that happens. Oh, by the way, tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern p.m. is the first live episode of Martial Arts Radio. We're going to do those monthly. Martial Arts Radio Live. You can find it a Facebook event for it. We're going to do them for a year. See how they go. Be doing giveaways and all kinds of fun stuff with it. I probably have to plan that at some point. Thanks, Gabe. Gabe is one of those people volunteering and helping out, and he's kind of spearheading this one. So, good guy. I think there are a lot of ways you can show people that you care, but I think the effective ones are understated. It's a fine line between doing something for someone else and doing something for someone else because you want something for yourself. It can be really easy to be self-promotional. And that's something that I've had a hard time with. It's something that can be really challenging. But if you let your actions speak for themselves, people will notice. It may take time. And again, that's kind of what's happening with whistlekick. It's taken years. But people recognize why I'm doing this. I think people get it. I hope they get it. Yeah. It has been said, people usually listen to reply rather than to understand. How does this affect our journey as martial artists? Well, first off, that's a great line. People listen to reply rather than to understand. I've caught myself doing this before. Being in a conversation, waiting for the other person to stop speaking so I could talk. I don't do that anymore. The part of it is because I've had hundreds of conversations with people where that's not the goal, where I'm trying to get them to stay talking, where I talk so little I have to make sure that what I say is incredibly relevant and supportive and gets them to talk for, another 5 minutes. It's a whole different set of listening skills. But I think I don't know if I'll say the majority, I think a lot of people out there, Frank is saying, where'd it go? Frank says, we men are especially bad at this. I think quite often, yeah. Yeah, women will often connect with other people through conversation. Men tend to connect through activity, through action. We're not generally as good at conversation as women are. I lost my train of thought. Hold on. I think that the idea of listening so you can reply, trying to get your words into the conversation, come from a place of either defense, and we're going to make a martial arts tie here in a moment because I see it very clearly. It's either, an insecurity that we want to be able to contribute to the conversation, or a disagreement, kind of a self-defense in a way, that the person saying something, we feel like someone else in the conversation is saying something that is at our expense, whether it's intentional or not. And so we're trying to rush them along. Yep, so we can say something. Forgetting that they very well may be listening in the same way that we are. And that's just a waste of everyone's time. Most early martial artists are this way in their open sparring, whether it's sparring or grappling or whatever. They get an idea of what they want to do, the movement that they want to perform, whether or not it's relevant in the situation, whether or not it's a good response. And better martial artists, better fighters, learn to understand and react, respond, reply. Well, the word reply is used differently here. To understand and respond to what the other person says, or in the case of fighting, does. If you ask a early fighter, an inexperienced fighter, what are you going to do when you go out there? They'll name off movements. You ask someone really experienced, what will you do out there? It depends on what the other person does. Right? It's a conversation. I forget who first said that on martial arts radio, but the idea of sparring as a conversation is something I've enjoyed. Good morning, Jordan. And I think it requires patience, it requires confidence, requires some a sense of safety. Talking hands is my favorite way to call it, as Jordan says. Yeah, it's a great way to put it. Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess the last bit I'll leave you with on this subject. Oh, Frank says a lot of times men are in such a hurry to solve the problem too, instead of really listening. Yes. Yes, we do. We tend to be action oriented. If we bring it back to literally conversation, the whole listening thing, there are a lot of different ways you can look at that. But one of my favorite ways to engage with other people is to listen to them. And there are a number of reasons why. First off, when you ask people questions about themselves, when you ask people to explain more about what they're talking about, when you're genuinely interested, it builds rapport. People like to talk about themselves. People like to explain themselves. And you will further increase the depths of your personal relationships, whether it's friendship or romantic or professional, by listening with some intent, by getting good at listening. And if you're interested in getting better at listening, there are books and everything. But bottom line, it's listen. Offer some of the words back to them to show you understand. And don't be in a hurry to say what you're going to say. I'll share with you a secret about martial arts radio. A huge number of the guests tell me that it's been their favorite interview. I don't talk very much. I don't think that's coincidence. I want to hear what they have to say. So when you talk to people, make it about them. You've got plenty of time to make things about you. Make it about them. Because eventually, they'll make it about you. Might take some time. But it's far better than kind of the literal place that we started from of listening to reply where everybody's wasting their time. This is what's happening on social media with political conversations right now. How many people in a long thread read the article that's posted that they disagree with and then read all the replies, all the comments? If you were going to come from a place of understanding, you would, wouldn't you? You'd read the entire article. You might even read some other articles that are referenced. You would definitely read all the comments that other people posted. But what happens most of the time? People read the title and they very quickly reply, here's why I disagree. One of the things I enjoy seeing is when a satirical article is posted and people don't open it to read it, and you can see that, hey, guess what? They just wanted to comment. They just wanted to feel like their voice was heard. That doesn't help anybody, doesn't move anything forward. So, good questions. I'm glad I was awake enough to respond to these. We're at a time in the fall with the solar aspect where when I start the show, it's kind of dark. And now it's light. I'm looking out the back door. I still have not seen any animals through that door, and I'm bummed. Hopefully I'll get some deer out there soon. Plenty of apples on the ground. All right. If you want to ask me a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. I hope you have a fantastic day. Don't forget, We do this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. And once a week now, I'm uploading them to the podcast feed. If you want to ask a question by email, jeremy@whistlekick.com. And now for your homework. I want you to take a minute and think about the last few conversations you've had with other people. How good of a listener were you being? Could you have done better? How could you have done better? Just give yourself some notes, some criticism. How could you be a better listener? How could you have better conversation with people? Give it a shot. Okay. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care. Peace.